the thing about job search is first of all, as you guys know, you're going to encounter a lot of candy-ass, unprofessional people here. This is becoming the norm. You know, it used to be the exception. It used to be people would be halfway decent, halfway competent. But unfortunately, this is the world we're heading into. You know, ghosting is now a standard thing. People being rude, people being jackasses. This is like a sort of common thing that almost everybody is running into these days. You know, people being incompetent. That's kind of been around for a long time, but we're seeing even more of that. Okay, so people are wondering about if you are not getting interviews. Let's talk about that. So here's the deal. Hopefully everybody knows this. If you don't know this now, okay? Back in the old days, you could send in a resume or an application where it didn't match exactly. You know, there's a bit of variation between your resume and the things they said they were looking for in the job description, okay? You could do that and still get away with it. You'd probably get some interviews, right? As we go into the future, partly because of AI, partly because of the number of applications that a lot of online job postings receive, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, okay? They can afford to try and find something very close to an exact match, okay? So when I say exact match, I mean exact match in terms of words, right? So if they say we're looking for someone who's got supervisory experience, your resume should mention supervisory experience, right? Now, let's pretend that you don't have exactly the supervisory experience that they're referring to. Maybe they said we need 5 years of supervisory experience in this particular situation, right? Okay. If you send in a resume and it doesn't have the words supervisory experience, that's probably going to result in you not being selected right off the hop, okay? So use the term supervisory experience. Don't call it some other name. Maybe the place where you worked, they called it frontline management experience or whatever. Use the term supervisory experience because that's what these people are calling it, right? Okay? Now, let's say you technically have 3 years supervisory experience just outright, but they're looking for 5. Now, from a certain perspective, can you say that you had another 2 years supervisory experience? Maybe when you were back at school and you did group work, you were appointed to be the group leader for whatever little work group you're in. You know, maybe you had to supervise the other people. Maybe that went on for 2 years. I don't know. Maybe you could sort of say, well, from a certain perspective, yes, I do have 2 years supervisory experience in school in the sense that I was having to, I was having to report issues with my work group. I was put in charge of the work group, so that's technically supervisory experience, so you could say I have 5 years supervisory experience and you just put that on your resume, Now, if people want to get into the details, hey, we could get into the details. But you know what I mean? The point is they're looking for these exact matches using their lingo. So a lot of people, they have the experience. It's just that you didn't express it. You didn't articulate it the way that they were wanting. And usually they have some kind of an AI filter on an automated system, an ATS system that scans the applications. And what it does is, like the way these things usually work is they sort of receive all the applications, they scan them, and then they present them to a recruiter, almost like your email application, where you have all your emails. It orders them for you, and it says this is the top candidate, second top candidate, third best candidate, fourth best candidate. It ranks them in order of the closest match. Okay? And this is just some dumb software, right? So if there's any way that you could say that you have the qualification, what I would say is just say you have the qualification, as long as it's not an absolute outright lie and you express it with their terms. And you do this for all of the requirements if you possibly can. You speak to as many as you possibly can, especially the top ones that they listed first. Okay? And that's kind of the way you get past these filters to the stage where they would actually have you in their shortlist and they consider bringing you in for an interview. The other thing you got to know about, especially online applications, is that when they give you these skill testing questions, you know what, it pops up with like a specific question that you have to answer, and you can't skip the question. You can't write like a sort of BS response. You have to say like yes or no. Like they'll say, be aware that this position pays in this salary range. Okay. And then when you do the application, you send in your resume, and then it pulls out this question. It says, are you okay with a salary in this range? Yes or no, right? Whenever they have those questions that they pop out like that, you have to answer favorably, because 90% of the time, they're simply there to eliminate you if you don't answer favorably. Okay, that's what those questions are for. So there may be more than one. There might be like 5 or 10 of these sometimes. Okay, but they're just confirming with you, like, remember this, you have to be okay with this. You understand that this pays this. You understand that it's shift work, blah, blah, blah. You have to answer favorably to all those, because usually what those are there for is to just eliminate you outright if any single one of those answers is unfavorable, right? Like if they say, are you okay with the salary? And you say no, then you're eliminated. Like even before you submit your application, it's gonna not shortlist you, right? So that's what those are there for. If ever you wondered, they're there to eliminate you, right? So make sure you answer favorably if you want to be considered. You know what I mean? That's what's going on behind the scenes, right? So if you're not getting applications, maybe it's because of either of those things, okay?